we've got a 2001 Caddy that's got a 171 and 174, so bank 1 and 2 both lean, has a rough idle, very rough. It's a good old North Star V8. When we look at our DTC status, we have a 171, 174, and a 300, which is a multiple cylinder misfire. The 174 is the one that's set to freeze frame. These other 3 codes are what's called failure records, and GM's got 5 of those that can set. So the one that's got the light lid is the 174. Also, it says here that the mill is requested for the 300. So the freeze frame is for the lean code. Let's take a look at that freeze frame. And really there's a lot of data here. What we did was capture the freeze frame and with a Tech 2 and then upload it into software on the PC. If you've got Tista Web, you can do the same thing. But basically what we're looking at here is about 2,300 RPM. We're at about an 18-19% add. I know the short terms are at minus, but I have no idea what they were a second ago. So I'm really not going to hang my hat on short-term fuel trim and a freeze frame. So we have a problem that will make the system lean on bank 2 at cruise RPM. So let's file that piece of information away. And now we look at our 300. Our 300 sets, and we have a ton of fuel add. And note that we have an idle RPM. So we have a problem that makes the engine misfire at idle. We look at our 171, and again, we have an idle RPM, and we've got a super add on fuel trim. So now we see that we have a problem that can cause a misfire and a fuel trim code at idle, and it can also cause a fuel trim code at cruise RPM. And finally, we look one more time at the 174, and we see it can also set at cruise with a significant amount of fuel add. So this is kind of what we know is we have a problem that affects this engine both at idle and at cruise RPM. So that's an important piece of information we can file away. Also, we look at our misfire data, and we see that every cylinder has history, and we really can't pick out any, there's, I guess, cylinder number 8 and cylinder number 6 have the highest numbers, but there's not a big enough winner here for the PCM to set a P01, 301, 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever. So we know we have misfires pretty much across the board. So in order to go after this problem, the technician is going to spray some carb cleaner or hydrocarbons around under the engine compartment. And when he gets to this particular location right here, he gets a significant change in the O2 voltage, at which right before that point is zeroed out. As soon as he sprays carb cleaner by the back of the throttle body, he gets this bump in oxygen sensor voltage. So, pretty simple and time-proven technique to look for vacuum leaks. Fortunately, the leak is occurring right now when he's looking for it. Well, this boot that goes in between the intake plenum and the throttle body is a pattern failure on Cadillac. So many of you may have already experienced this. But the boot, looks like you could simply slip it out of there, but that is really not the case. It's going to take a little bit of wrenching to get that boot changed out. Hopefully before you got to this point, you'll listen to how the starter sounded, because I haven't met many of these things that the starter sounded real good on. So this would be a great day to put a starter in here. All right, so when you get done, you get the new boot in there, and at the end of the day, you got this problem solved. So while this is a pattern failure, I thought it was an important discussion because we used our scan data analysis to determine that we had a problem that would not only affect the engine at idle via a vacuum leak, but it also affected it at higher RPM because we had air leaking in that wasn't going through the sensor.